Appreciate it. Thanks, Emilio. Yeah, welcome everybody. Appreciate everybody joining us today. It's nice to be able to recap what's been a successful season and look ahead to what I hope is going to be a long playoff run. I think for me, I look back with a lot of pride. To be honest with you, I think many of you were here a little over a year ago now, I guess, when talked about having to make a really tough decision at the time. But one of the reasons why we felt that tough decision was needed is because we knew we had the nucleus of a very talented team here. And I think what was shown is that when we went about that change and when we realigned and made sure that everyone was pulling in the same direction, we were able to very quickly right the ship and get this team back where we wanted it to be. So it's nice to look back now over the last 12 months and see kind of how successful things have been. Obviously, we've qualified for the playoffs for the third time in the last 5 years, qualified for the Champions League for the second time in the last 4 years, which is a combination that only 6 other clubs in MLS can lay claim to. So that's something that I think speaks to the consistency of the group over that period of time. We've also, in the midst of qualifying for that Champions League, had a historic run in Leagues Cup, beating four MLS or four Liga MX teams in a row, something that no MLS club has ever done before. And I think that run, was an incredible achievement for the club and for the players and the staff. So something we're very proud of and very much now looking forward to the Champions Cup next year. I think what probably strikes me the most and what I'm proudest of is that we did that all as we said we were going to do that all with a young team that's playing attacking and entertaining football. And that's what we're about at this club. I think it says a lot when you've got a player like Keegan who's slap bang in the middle of his prime, is I think the oldest player on the team. I think that speaks to how young this group is and the incredible job that Coach Armas and the rest of the coaching staff have done. And I think now we go into these playoffs in a really good frame of mind. I think people will quickly point to, okay, the couple of games since Leagues Cup, but we certainly wouldn't swap anything for that Leagues Cup run and the qualification for Champions League. But for those of you who are out of training today, I think you can see the character, the spirit, the mentality, and just quite frankly, the fun that the group is having when they play together, and now getting some players hopefully back from injury as well. I think we're going into this playoff run with a lot of confidence and knowing that we can play with anybody. We've seen that in Leagues Cup, how we can cope with knockout tournaments and how these guys can shine in the toughest moments, and the resilience that this team has and that the coach has kind of instilled in them. So we go in with great confidence, but most of all, we go in knowing that we're going to host a playoff game on front of our supporters. And I think that's something that is just hugely exciting. It was the main focus and the main goal at the start of the year, to get back into the playoffs, to host a game in front of our fans. And that's something that we are incredibly excited about. And I think the challenge is there for our fans as much as it is for our players. We want to recapture the atmosphere, the excitement that we saw back in 2021 on Thanksgiving against Portland. And going back even further than that to the last matchup with Galaxy in the playoffs, when we emerged victorious on penalties in what was an incredible day for the organization as a whole. So we know this place is a fortress for us. We know that our guys love playing here and opponents don't. And we also know what a special occasion it can be when our fans show up and show out in the way that they have done on so many occasions this year. So incredibly excited for that. And it shows you what kind of a successful season we've had, when I forgot to say that we brought the Rocky Mountain Cup back home, beating RSL as well. So I think that might have been another of the key highlights. So a great season to recap, a lot to look forward to, and really appreciate everybody coming out today. So I think we'll kick off the questions, and we'll start with you, Braden.
Braden Nurse with the Denver Post. Chris, Keegan, recent results aside, just how exciting is this opportunity to be in the playoffs? Chris, for your first season here in Colorado, Keegan for the first time since 2021, and is Galaxy a welcome challenge for you guys?
It is exciting. This is a long season, what you play for. Again, Pádraig mentioned the recent form is something that a lot of people will point to, but in Austin, I felt like that performance gave us a lot to be excited about. That's what the message was. We wanted to use it as a tune-up for an away match at a tough place to play, and we're excited. The goal, for these upcoming weeks is to beat LA, and that's simple message. We can do it away from home and certainly at home. And again, as Pádraig mentioned, I know I have some other guys in that locker room have been thinking about that home playoff match against Portland in 2021. It goes both ways. It's a fond memory, but also a little bit of a sour taste from the performance, the result. But the atmosphere is, I haven't seen it like that here before. And the unique format, the way that the league changes, the playoff format year to year, we get another home game, and that's something that I know we're excited about, and I hope that people are here too.
Yeah, look, I my mother stresses out about football and soccer and wins and losses, and so yeah, like for her, I'm happy we're in the playoffs. But if I'm being honest, I've only known that in my career. I've been fortunate to be part of good teams and part of that. So, as a player and a coach, this is where I expect to be this time of year. That's the demand I put on myself, and yeah, it's to sit in this room where it felt, I don't know, 9 or 10 months ago, where we sat just here. I think Matt, you were sitting a little bit over there, but this brings me back to a brief 9 months ago. And of course, that was the goal, right? That was how lofty was it? But listen, straight, that was the goal. How are we going to get there? We got a lot of work to do, but to see that the players reward themselves, the coaching staff get validated for work that they've done. The people in the back of the room here, the work that they put in, to my right, the roster, the whole bit, feels great to be back where we expect to be.
Matt Pollard, Burgundy Wave. Chris, your thoughts on the 3-leg format and maybe that being a little bit different calculus from 2-leg series that you would have seen in previous MLS experiences, coaching and playing. And Keegan, your thoughts on using your playoff experience both with Philadelphia and Colorado for some guys who maybe haven't been in MLS Cup playoffs, some of the homegrowns maybe who touched a little bit of the field in 2021, but as someone who, was in the thick of it in that game. Thank you.
Yeah, Matt, I prefer the 3 or the 1. I don't think imagine a 1 seed in our country where, you different from other countries where you're the champions at the end of the year. But imagine a 1 seed versus an 8 seed. That it's 1-1. That for me, I always questioned it. So I like seeing that there's a real advantage. Honestly, I think at this stage to have a 3, it brings us back many years ago in the early years of MLS, but that each team gets at least a home game, I think that's a great thing, and certainly rewards the higher seeds. So I'm a fan of it. We'll see how it plays out.
Sorry, I don't think I sat close enough first answer, but yeah, I think the experience in the playoffs is helpful. I think there's a little bit different intensity, especially the way you start matches. I think that's going to be really important. Start both halves. As we saw last week, obviously closing games out as well. Those moments become a little more tense. You look to leadership there. You look to, stability in those moments. But at the same time, with a young team, maybe some lack of experience in playoffs, I think ignorance is bliss a little bit. And you don't really feel any of that pressure. You don't feel an extra sense of intensity or any of that. And so I'm excited. I think the young guys are. I'm taking myself back to that first press conference where I said excited, I think 10 times, but we're excited for the challenge. And I know that I'm speaking for the locker room in that. I think people might talk about, drawing maybe the best team all year in the Galaxy, and you're going to have to beat good teams along the way in this format. And why not first, when we're fresh going into it, and it'll be fun.
You mentioned, Chris, sitting here in your press conference and laying out wanting to make the playoffs as a goal long term. I guess this is more for Borg, but now that you're there, how far down the road are you looking in these playoffs as a goal? And Keegan, as first time captain, how are you doing in your leadership role heading into such a big series?
We're looking at December 7th. I mean, that's the goal. We want to win MLS Cup. And I think one of the first things that we did, when Chris came in, was he sat in front of the group and kind of asked them what their ambitions were and what their goals were, because it's something that, Wayne, Fran, myself, and Chris had spent a lot of time talking about. Our ambition is to win MLS Cup. That's it. Like, we're not going to look any less than that. And the great thing for me is that when I look around that group, like, I know we have a group that's capable of doing that. I know we have a group that's capable of beating any team in this league. And that's something that gives me immense pride, that they have such resilience, such character, such determination, and a lot of talent to go along with it. And I think they've shown that and evidenced that throughout the course of the year. So from my perspective, yeah, we're not looking beyond the next round, but we are very much focused on winning MLS Cup. That's where our ambitions lie.
My experience has been a lot of fun this year. I'm sure Chris and Pádraig would humbly say the same about the leadership we have amongst the team in the locker room, but I look first to the leadership we have here, the messaging, the way that they conduct their business trickles down, and that helps my job, that helps all of our jobs in the locker room be much easier. And then also I look to the roster and the way that they've built the team, the characters that we have there also makes my job much easier. And I wouldn't really even call it a job. It's my job. Also, from the moment that Chris appointed me captain, I was told by multiple people that don't feel like you need to change a lot of what you've been doing. You've been put in this position because of what you've done over the past how many years, and that gives me a lot of confidence. And I feel that I have a lot of the respect of the guys in the room, and that's really what it comes down to. I feel like we've all respected each other because of that, and had a certain level of success so far because of that. So this is again what Chris said. This is where we expected ourselves to be, a certain standard that we hold ourselves to, and this is the most fun time of year.
Hi, Keith Richards, Team MBS Media. I guess a question for Coach and Keegan. You mentioned having a young team a lot, and then again you play a Galaxy for the second time in just a few weeks. With the team being so young and with there being such a short turnaround, is there an advantage of having played the Galaxy before, or is it really not factor into the game plan going into the match?
Well, for me, it is an advantage that we've played them before, and they might feel the same. But they're a team that we know exactly what makes them good. We're not going to talk about that now, but it's really clear. And so those previous reps give us real information and insight. And in that, part of that insight is that we put the Galaxy in two really difficult games. The boys been saying, beat LA. That's been the talk. There's real belief. And maybe I've said this before, when you're a young team, certain things come with that. But I think so much of what makes us good is because we are young. And do all the players have all the experiences that some older players have? No, we're not expected to have it. However, you have to have the right young group, right? You can't young, you still have to be hungry. You still have to have talent. And now we have a body of work. So if we just talked about that for a second, it could have been easy in Leagues Cup after game 1 in Portland. I've seen many teams could just crumble. We come home, look what the boys do. That's not, of course, are they young? Are they talented? But that looked like a team that wanted to win. Late goals, dramatic finishes, penalty finishes, young teams. It's a team that wants to win and has found ways to win. That's what gives our young-ish team, for me, that internal confidence that they have from the body of work this year. It gives me a hell of a lot of confidence watching them go after it. Never, ever shrinking, never giving in. That's what playoff teams, the best teams have built in, and they've earned that, and they've gained those valuable experiences. And now, of course, Ali Larraz will get some playoff experience that some other guys have, but that's one of the beauties of what's ahead. So it's a hungry group. It's a young group. It's a team that has found ways to win, and in so many different ways they've found that.
And I think to add to that, the amount of times you play a team in the year, we've seen with Salt Lake this year playing them 3 times. It's really difficult to beat a team 2, 3, 4, 5 times. And we've been on the wrong side of a couple results against the Galaxy this year. But as Chris mentioned, some really tough games, very tight, especially the second half there in LA. We put together a really good half. So I think that works in our favor a little bit. I think, I think the pressure is going to be on them, and we like our ability, like I said, to get a result away from home, and then certainly coming back here in front of our fans.
Chris, what have you kind of made of Kevin's work over the past few months to get healthy before the playoffs? The things he's been through personally, and how excited are you to have him back for this playoff run, just given he doesn't really look like he's missed a step?
Well, for me, it looks like a breakout year for Kevin Cabral, and I think he deserves so much of the credit for being open to what we were bringing early on, open to a little bit of a different position, playing more interior than and out wide. He's a special human being, first and foremost. The energy that he shows up with every day. There's a lot of team guys out here, and especially on our team, and when he's around, when he's in the middle of it, his banter, music, he's grabbing microphones in the locker room. He's got real character and personality that I think is great for any team. So to see the performances, to see the goals, the contributions, the XG, his willingness to run behind, threaten deep, repeat. This for me is I think when we didn't have him, we missed it a bit. Other guys stepped in, but for sure, now that you have him back, it's we've welcomed it. It almost feels like a signing at this most important part of the year. So, yeah, it's having him back, Cole back. It's been nice to get some guys back.
I guess to sort of follow up on the health question with how is Cole doing, and then included that Georgie, Zach, and noticed Rafa today at practice as well.
Yeah, Cole's back. Of course, we got to look at minutes, but Cole's back. He played. He's been pain free for a few weeks now. We've just been really cautious there, but Cole's back. Kevin is for sure back, gaining the fitness, gaining the sharpness. Rafa today, it's precautionary. He's good. If you leave it up to him, he's all in. But we got to be really smart when little things are just, we hear about little things. Zach Steffen, full training. Georgie, minor. It looks day to day. In many ways, it's really how this ankle, the little sprain, responds. But he has his sights set on game 2. But we'll use that. We'll day to day. But we're looking all right there, getting the guys healthy and sharp.
Following up on that with the injuries, Keegan, Georgie goes down, in the game against Austin, and the offense didn't stop. You guys found other ways to score goals. How has maybe missing some players the last month or so maybe helped the players on the field have to figure some things out to then be in a better position for the playoffs?
Yeah, it's testament to one of the hardest things I think in the game is to have to be that guy that comes on early, and of course you try to prepare in the same way, whether you're on the bench, whether you're starting, but to kind of do a quick warm up, get your head in the right place, get on, perform. Calvin did a really good job of that, and then Omir sliding into a different position on the night, and I thought was really, really sharp, created some really good moments for us, looked comfortable. Not a game where we have a lot of the ball at times, but I thought used his touches really efficiently. And yeah, as you mentioned, again, one of the hardest parts of the sport is to figure things out on the fly. Most of the time that's tactically us trying to solve things as a group, learning things about each other. How can we problem solve on the go in tough places to play and in tough environments? And that's similar to when different guys need to step up, learn each other's tendencies, the partnerships on the field. And again, the results haven't shown that, but I think we've grown a lot during those times. And I think that'll help a lot during this run of games. And we're going to need everyone. It's going to be a challenge. And I think because of that, some guys have gotten some more minutes, and I think we'll be better because of it.
Katie Cheshire, Denver Westward, whoever wants this one can take it. You have so many homegrown players or players that have been here for a long time. How much of an advantage does that chemistry and brotherhood that you all have bring to a playoff run?
Pete, you want to talk about some
Yeah.
homegrowns?
Yeah, I mean, look, the homegrowns are something we place a huge amount of pride on. It really is. I think going back to our earliest times here, we talked about wanting to build a club and to have this drive to youth focus. And there's nothing better than winning with guys that you've gone through the tough times with. And I think for some of our younger players, they've played with each other since they were 11, 12 years of age. And that really does build an understanding. Keegan talked about the relationships on the field. When you've played with each other for 6, 7, 8, 9, 10 years, obviously you're going to know a lot more about each other, and you're going to be willing to do things for each other that that may not come with players that are just in for 1 year and out for another year. So I think it's something that's at the very core of who we are as a club. We want this drive to youth philosophy that we've talked about. We want to win, playing a certain type of football, a certain game model, and as Coach said, that really lends itself to using young players to effectively and efficiently execute that model. So I think that's very important. But there's nothing quite like winning with homegrown players. I mean, that is something that I think all clubs would like to do when you've got guys that have come up, that have sat out there in the stands as supporters, as kids, and then they get the opportunity to go on the field and wear that jersey and represent their community, their family. It means a lot. So it's a huge part of what we are, but it only works when it's interspersed with a little bit more experience and with other players. And, you know, Keegan didn't start his career here, but Keegan's been here since I was put in a position along with Wayne to kind of, you know, steer this ship back in 18. He was one of the first trades we made. And it's that kind of stability as well that I think is really important to enable these young players to flourish and ultimately reach their full potential. So that's where I think we've got a really nice balance there, is that we've got a lot of top characters in that locker room that allow these young players to come through and ultimately reach their potential. And it's the combination of the two that allows us to succeed on the field. So certainly from my perspective, I'm not the one, I mean, Keegan might add to that, like I'm not the one that's out there, but it's absolutely unbelievable in our position to be able to look out, and we do so with a lot of pride when we see, you know, young kids from Colorado playing for this club and winning for this club.
You know what? I'll add one thing. You know, I have what a privilege and what a view I have oftentimes, whether it's the locker room, in a meal room, on the sideline, of what's going on. And as I've gotten older, I'm just a little better at just sitting back and just looking and taking it in real time. When you see Yappy score his first goal, what it means for him to the fans and the fans actually to him, there's a real connection there that happened a long time ago. Ali Laraz runs for the club, the people that have believed in him. But he runs for the club that has shown so much trust in him. Cole Bassett, I've had the privilege of going on some appearances with him. I think I'm just a tag along. They really want to see Cole Bassett, bring Chris along. The way he takes extra time to deal with the fans and the community and the children that come, he's representing the club that loves him, and he loves the club. I get to see it real time. Seb Anderson doesn't get all the minutes all the time, but he's a guy that when you talk about team first, it's not always best for Seb on a day, but it's good for the team and it's good for Seb all of a sudden. And that's what you get with homegrowns. That's what you get with the right homegrowns, that some people in this room and people see something in, character-wise, quality-wise. This for a coach is great. Having guys that love the club, of course, but yes, guys that come through. The Manchester United teams, it was not accidental what they delivered, and we have some of this in our DNA, which is great.
Chris, Mauricio Jaramillo de Telemundo Colorado. ¿Cuál crees que serían las claves, los key points para poder pensar en vencer al Galaxy?
I wish I could say you're too far away. I didn't understand, but I need some help here, Emilio. En más despacio, ¿no? Ayúdame.
¿Cuáles serían las...?
Sí, entiendo todo. Sí, muchas cosas. Gran equipo, seguro, pero es más importante que nosotros entendemos, tienen en jugadores con mucha gran calidad. Ricky Puig, Pansel, Peck, todo equipo. In Los Angeles, en ellos casa, ellos mejor en todos partidos. Un partido perdieron. They've lost only one. Sí, en una más cosa, ellos son un equipo de calidad en posesión, balón. Mucha posesión, mejor en MLS. Sí, eso es importante por nosotros, dangerous, peregrino. Juego peligroso, con ellos tienen balón. Sorry. I mean, listen, you do it to me. So what are we going to want? I'll mess
Glad
up.
you took that one.
You talk about the homegrown players on the opposite side of the spectrum. One of the biggest transactions for the team in the last couple of years is bringing out Rafa Navarro, who does have postseason experience in Brazil. Is that something that you've been able to talk with him about, and what does that different type of postseason experience bring to a team here in MLS?
Yeah, listen, for the few players that don't have the experience in the playoffs, right? Maybe they have a year under their belt of some big experiences. However, we have a lot of guys with big experiences. He's one of them. Think about some of the others. Sam Vines, another youngish player, big playoff type Europe experience. Georgie, Zach Steffen, you can go. Hafa for sure is a guy that, think about where the environment he came from, the culture of pressure. This is a way out in many ways. So I think Connor Ronan, you can keep going. Reggie Cannon, if you looked around the pitch, you start to say, well, we actually have some big experiences added up there, partnered up with the experiences from this year. So I think we'll add to the experiences, but this is certainly nothing to use against.
Yeah, I'd probably add the League's Cup run this year as well. I mean, you're not going to get many more pressurized environments than going away to LA to face Club America, playing in multiple penalty shootout rounds. So I think the guys already this year have really shown that in knockout tournaments where it's win or go home, they know how to deal with those situations. I tell you what, there's not a lot of teams that'll go to Philadelphia, go down in a game like that and show the character and determination that they did to not only come back and level it up, but to then go and win that penalty shootout with a Champions Cup spot on the line. So I think that shows that this team, despite being young, it's a mature team, and again, that comes from them being together. It comes from, you guys are probably bored of us saying or hearing this from us, but like, we go after character. That's what we're looking for. And I think when you go and bring in guys that have the right character and the right mentality, it helps to allay any of those concerns that you've got from just a youthfulness. There's also that beauty that comes with being young. Like, you don't know any different, right? You're just going to go out there and you're going to play and you're going to trust in what, the coach is asking you to do. You're going to trust in your teammates. And I think that's what this group did in the midst of League Cup. It's what it did out here, despite going down to RSL in a winner takes all, best of three game, essentially dealing with a weather delay and still coming back to win that game with a young team on the field. So listen, the youthfulness that we have in our group, I think, allows us to execute what the coaching staff are asking of the players, because it's tough. It's tough what they're being asked to do, but they can go and do it. But that youthfulness also, I think, plays into this, genuine belief that the group has and genuine trust and faith that they have in each other that I think has been evidenced throughout the course of this year.
Coming into the season, there's a lot of talk, and you told us that the 6 was coming, and the 6 came, and the 6 went, and there weren't really many other roster changes, obviously the addition of Reggie. So especially now facing the Galaxy if you went back and looked at the tape of Rapids Galaxy this year, there's a lot of it of trying to get a handle on and chasing Ricky Puig all over the field. So just looking big picture and looking at, the first round opponent for the playoffs, do you guys think that you have the depth, health, and quality in the midfield to contend with the teams like the LA Galaxy and the teams at the top of the league to make a run in the playoffs? Thank you.
I do. You talk about a 6 coming and leaving. There was some 6 that came and stayed. Cole Bassett, Ali Larraz, guys getting lots of minutes in there. But most teams have a difficult time chasing Ricky Puig around. This is a big challenge for us. However, if you the idea of a challenge for Cole Bassett, for Ali, for Connor, whoever's in there, they love the challenge. This is something our boys can run all day. We can run more than most. Cole Bassett has shown that. He leads the league. Maybe he still does in ground covered. And it's a big test, and this is what we love. We love the challenge that the LA Galaxy will present, with their attackers will present it, the way they can move around the pitch and move us around. But we think we played a really good 2.5 halves against them. 1 in their building, 1.5 in ours, and they punished us in moments, and we punished them. They're a team that concedes a lot of goals in our minds, and we think we can disrupt what they try to do. So we love the challenge, all of us. And we didn't come this far to just be happy with a first round, show up, and we have a game no matter what. We're coming home. Our fans have been amazing all year. They're going to come again strong. The Friday night, I already heard it last night from CK, you know, the game day experience. There's going to be fireworks. There's going to be fire everywhere. There's going to be noise, loud. Bring it. You know, this is where our guys have been saying beat LA all week. So we're hungry for the challenge. We love it. And we want to make some noise, you know.
Kind of building off that question for Chris and Keegan, just when you look at this series in the past few games, what kind of needs to happen to eliminate some of these 5-10 minute stretches that have kind of buried games for you? And yeah, just what kind of needs to happen to avoid those things, even if like in these past few games, the other 80 minutes have been positive?
Well, do you want me or you?
Sure, yeah.
I just gotta say, can you guys figure it out? Come on, man. Let's go.
Yeah, fair enough. Yeah, that it's a challenge. You know, that's again, you know, I've said a couple times, one of the hardest things is putting together a full performance, full 90, full 100 minutes we talk about. And I think at times my messaging, our messaging and leadership is to try to oversimplify in times of stress and disrupting, changing the rhythm of the game. When things aren't going our way, they have a lot of possession. They're putting together a lot of chances. Some fouls here and there, slow the game down, you know, put your foot on the ball, make them chase a bit, get really, really tight, compact, get our shape right, and then kind of go out of that. And it's going to be important. As Chris mentioned, they love the ball. They like to possess the ball. It's going to be important for us to be organized and figure those things out on the fly. And I think we're more than capable of that. We've shown that at times this year, and certainly through the Leagues Cup, which is probably the most similar experience that we've had as a group going into this. We showed we're very capable, and we look forward to the challenge.
Listen, to finish that one, I think he's exactly right. And we have a role to play as coaches we've armed the guys with certain set of principles, guiding behaviors that help them find solutions for all the challenges that come in a game. So now we're relying on what's built in. No magic buttons at this moment. It's really about relying on who they are and the DNA of who the Rapids are right now, our style of play. And in that, then we can make adjustments. There's halftime, there's game plans. That's how we can help these guys. And then always a challenge for a player, I think, is how long can you sustain that level of focus? Especially if we think about the Philadelphia game, we think about LAFC, we think about some games, we give up a goal, we give up another goal, right? Is it a question of, is it too much for us? Can we focus a little more? And that's a challenge for any player. Some young players, it's a challenge to see how dialed in can you get 100 minutes of focus. Not so easy. And the good teams show you that, yeah, the margins are thin. That's a challenge for a player. I didn't have all the tools as a player, but one thing I was able to do was dial in for long periods of time, almost suffer in my brain a little longer than you could. So anyhow, that's always kind of, okay, if you think about the Kansas City, Minnesota, there's good stretches in there. We have to just minimize that. We'll have to be at our best, but especially in playoff games, can we force mistakes? Can we minimize mistakes and be locked in as long periods of time as possible?
Last one's from me. Pork, I think Steve Cook would have told me late in 2017 that a 12-month season is actually 18 months because you have to start prepping for it 6 months ahead of time. So Chris and Keegan and the coaches and the players obviously have a lot to focus on in the next couple weeks. But, you know, Alex Aldridge appointed the new director of scouting. Is that his title? So what have you done so far in order to prepare for next year, scouting, window, draft, and everything? And Chris, what can you tell me about Malik Sanogo?
I didn't have Steve Cook on my bingo card for this press conference. I have to say, I wasn't expecting that to come up as a reference. Thank you very much. Yeah, I mean, look, I think he's not wrong. And I think as this league's continue to grow and develop and get better, it's extended out even further than that, to be perfectly honest with you. I don't think any team can expect to be successful if they're not thinking multiple windows ahead and multiple seasons ahead. I think one of the things that I really like, though, is the fact that the core of this group is signed through 27, 28. And certainly we have the vast majority of the team that we know are coming back next year. One of the things that, again, Matt, you've heard me speak of, very often or quite often, is that, we always want to get better. We know we can continue to get better. We know with Champions Cup next year, that's going to place even more pressure on the guys, more games. They're going to come thick and fast. We want to win trophies. We've been very clear about that here. So whether that's, CONCACAF Champions Cup, whether that's the Leagues Cup, MLS Cup, whether, US Open Cup, Rocky Mountain Cup, we want to be competitive in every single game we play. So the onus is on us to make sure that we're providing the coaching staff with that right roster, and with a roster that's deep and talented, to be able to compete across all of these competitions at the level and to the standard that we've talked about earlier on tonight. So yeah, we've been putting these plans in place for quite a period of time. So there's a lot of work that's taken place already. But that's work that we're going to keep to ourselves for now. We're thrilled to have Alex on board. I think, the work that he's going to be able to do with obviously Fran leading the charge, and Brian Crookham now, and Chris Cartledge as well. Like we've done an extensive amount of work on the draft. It's obviously something that we as a club do focus on, and do believe there's talent to be had in that draft. That's obviously evidenced by what's happened this year with Moise Bombito, someone we were able to take less than 18 months ago, and obviously he's moved on to Europe now. But we've had a lot of success in that avenue, or in that development pathway. We'll continue to focus there. We'll continue to focus inside the league, and we'll also be looking outside the league. So very pleased with where the group is right now from a planning perspective. And, I think we're going to come into next year even better again. But the focus right now is on finishing the job this year, and looking at the playoff run that's ahead.
We'll take a couple more questions.
Yeah, just to finish that question, we know Malik is a young, talented striker with some youth international experience. He's a player that runs deep. He's powerful. He's aggressive. He enjoys pressing. Any chance we get a chance to look at a player like that in our environment, we grab it. So yeah, just in with us for a few days, and we'll see if we see him over the next little bit here.
We talked about the injured players coming back, but after such a long season, there's guys that have had a pretty big minutes load, guys like Keegan and Andreas and Zach. With now entering a even more intense level of this competition, how are guys like that have played so much this year holding up, both for Keegan and for Chris?
It's what we get paid to do. It's a fun challenge for us. I think as you get older, you understand that preparation to experience a long, grueling season kind of comes in the moments when people aren't watching, in the gym, on the training field, looking after yourself in those moments. And again, with experience, it kind of teaches you that in moments, in stretches, you're not going to feel perfect, but kind of doing prehab, as they would call it, things to kind of prevent, certainly strength work and work with the medical staff. And I think we've got a lot of resilient guys. And again, that's how they build the roster. It's how we bring guys in here. It's not the character, but it's also the physical resiliency. You can see from the data, a lot of capable runners and strong guys in the group. And I don't think you see a lot of fatigue and reasons to make changes because of fatigue. And I think that's a testament, again, like I said, to the guys taking care of themselves. And also we've got performance staff, a technical staff that looks after the guys in the right moments, maybe certain reps in training or certain midweek rest. And I think we've done a good job of that. And we've also gotten some guys healthy at the right time. Injuries aren't really an excuse. I think every club experiences them. And we've gotten through, I think, a tough part here the last couple of weeks. And like I said, we've got guys that have played some minutes and had to fill in, and I think we'll be better because of that.
You're asking the wrong guy there, Mitch. I'm not sure there's many players over the course of Keegan's career that's played more minutes than he has. Like, this is a guy who once did his collarbone and still went back onto the field and finished the game. Like, so he's a tough guy.
Yeah, Mitch. He's fit. You meant the young came up a bunch of times tonight. It's this afternoon. When you're younger, you tend to be able to recover and sprint and endure. We have a really good medical and performance team. There's the art and the science. The coach is always looking for more minutes in training and to push, and they're trying to hold the guys back a lot. We fight about this. You know, I was a player and I'm a person who has a team that everything is about hard work. We're a gritty team. So yeah, we don't talk too much about fatigue and tired. And however, as a coach, I'm aware of it. After the Leagues Cup, you can see that physically and emotionally it took a toll. And then we have to now make sure we give it enough rest and emotionally rest. But oftentimes I'll say, you know, can we do 8 segments by 0 minutes? And the coaches look at me like, huh, what do you mean that's 0 minutes? I'm like, exactly. Like, yes, can we have some minutes for training today, please? So we can get some things done. That was supposed to be a joke. No one laughed, but 8 segments by 0 minutes. It's a joke that we say because we need to get work done, but these guys they're fit. We have a good team around them. It keeps them ready.
We'll go last question.
For Keegan, this club has continuously identified and proven Dick's Sporting Goods Park as its fortress. You know, over a dozen unbeaten games at home this year in the regular season, but playoffs can be an entirely different beast. What would be your message to fans to build up the intensity around this match, and what maybe can you give guidance to some of the younger players, new players who haven't experienced a playoff game here about the expectations and what you plan to bring to the table?
Yeah, I think the message to the fans is keep doing what they've been doing. They've showed up so well this year. Oftentimes midweek games or cup games, you see a dip in attendance, and I don't think we've really felt that this year. And that's been, I don't know if they even understand what it does for us just to have that energy in the building, to be able to push us through the tough stretches of the game, late in games, going down in games. Those moments are a challenge for a team to revamp, kind of regroup, get the energy right again, and you can feel the crowd pushing us in those moments. So they've been great. I'm not worried about them, and for us, again, a little bit ignorance is bliss for this playoff experience for some of the young players that haven't experienced those moments. But we've talked about it here today that the Leagues Cup is a really good simulation for what to experience in those high pressure moments. A little bit of heightened intensity, heightened awareness, long stretches of time through those games where we defend. Teams have a lot of the ball. The Club America game is a great picture of that. I mean, really, really challenging stretches of a game where we look really solid. We defend really well. We're together. We all kind of understand and are willing to suffer for each other. And of course, stretches of these games, especially at home, we want to have more of the ball. We want to take more control. But a lot of times I think it's the team that can do what I've talked about the best, suffer the most efficiently together. And I think we've proven that all year. And it's a really fun aspect of the game to experience together when you do it well, because you know that you can kind of get into the trenches together, not panic, not have moments where you're not trusting what we're doing. And again, a testament to the character and to the personality of a lot of the guys in the locker room and the leadership, of course.
We will conclude today's press conference there. If you didn't get your question in, please reach out to a member of the communication staff, and we'll be sure to get that answered. Thank you for attending.
Thanks, folks. Appreciate it.